February 11, 2025, to order at 7 p.m. All members from the council and all members from the administration are present. As a recording this meeting is a courtesy to the public, and please identify yourself so your fellow attendees know that they're being recorded. City manager of the city of East Lake is recording this meeting. The legislation proposed is legislation number 02-11-01, a resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept a single levy grant from the Lake County Commissioners for a total of $143,000 and declaring an emergency. Michelle?
Thank you. We're very fortunate that every year we have been given a portion of the levy money, the senior levy money, in terms of the grant. And it is used towards the senior center. It is up a little bit, a couple of $1,000. This year it is $143,000, and I ask that you accept it.
Any questions for the finance director? Seeing none, move on to legislation number 02-11-02, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit to Sal Al Rusin with ABA Rusin Brothers LLC, convenience food mart, 34301 Vine Street, East Lake, Ohio, 44095, declaring an emergency. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, the owner of the convenience store on Vine came to us. They came to the planning commission, and they talked about how they would like to add a drive-up window on the west side of the building. A lot of good questions were asked, and the board approved it, and they're here now because it's the CUP. Conditional use permit.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mayor? I just had one. Is this the same convenience that came to Finding some years back with the?
He did, but he re-tenanted the out part of it. Before it was going to be a little bit more congested, so he changed a little bit of the rotation of the out part, and there's going to be more of a blockage, so people parking head-on can't interfere with the people exiting with the drive or drive-up. And we talked about deliveries, how they're going to be maintained, and the hours are going to be 12 to 10 window. There's not going to be like a loudspeaker like if you go to McDonald's or anything like that. It's just people drive up to the window and talk to the worker or whoever may be there.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
I do have a question. So what exactly are they planning on? Is it for everything in the store that they're going to be putting through this window, this drive-up window?
Well, I think what the owner is thinking is going to be more quick thinking of. No, he's not going to want people to go there and do shopping. I mean, like, their groceries. It's going to be more, I want per gallon milk, cigarettes. I'm sure it's going to be lotto tickets. Things like that, quick, in and out.
Do they have a diagram in the planning to see where exactly that was at?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you can send
You mean
me?
in the store? The layout of the store?
The layout of where this window is going to be and where.
Yeah, it's going to be on, like I said, on the west side, towards the front of the store, and they're going to come in down on 342nd. 344, come down off the line, go in like the back side, and then come up along this wall, they'll order, and then turn and go out.
Okay.
I did talk to the fire department, police department, and I also talked to the homeowner that's struck behind convenience, and didn't seem like there was any issues.
So they weren't concerned about lighting or anything like that?
No. Matter of fact, the convenient guy was willing to even add more fencing along that side if that would be more convenient for that homeowner that lives there. If there would be a problem. but it should be.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, move on to legislation 02-11-03, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit for the sale of firearms to Daniel D. Porva, agent for Ohio Precision Manufacturing Corp., DBA Infinitec Industries, located at 35886 Lakeland Boulevard, East Lake, Ohio, 44095, and M3 District, and declaring emergency. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. DiPidogo was at the same meeting, and again, we've had these through the years. He is gonna start manufacturing, firearms. The state of Ohio knows about it. They have to prove his license and everything. They do ask, I believe, the police department if there's any issues, stuff like that. But he's been all checked out and everything. He is here if there would be any questions for him, but that's what I know of it.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Mayor? Hey, John?
So, Chief Warner, are you comfortable, if you looked at that, and are you comfortable with that resident having this license?
Yeah, we don't have any issues with it. We've done it in the past.
And is there, this is just for my knowledge, does there have to be certain security because of firearms, or just, I know, like,
It
years
depends
ago,
on
it
if
was
it's
stopped.
retail or
Okay.
kind of how it's set up.
He's not doing retail.
Okay.
It's just manufacturing.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief. We'll move on to ordinance number 02-11-04, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an 18th amendment to the WPCC joint agreement with the city of Albany and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lynch?
Thank you. So the city of East Lake City will have a joint jurisdiction with the wastewater treatment plant, all things operational, permitting. Every few years we update the agreement. I know we update the rates to accommodate some of the projects that are associated with the permit that's required to operate that plant. So this is just a new amended agreement to between the two cities.
Any questions for Mr. Lynch? Seeing none, we'll move on to legislation number 02-11-05, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the city of Willoughby for implementing the payment procedure for the Willoughby East Lake Shore WPCC Lake Shore Boulevard East Lake Equalization District Project and declaring an emergency. Michelle? Mr. Mayor.
It's similar, again, along with the permit to operate the plant, there's restrictions, there's projects that are required. This equalization basin is one of those projects that's required as part of the permit. It's a joint project with Willoughby, so the money is split.
Basically, the agreement says we'll pay half.
Do we have an estimate on that project yet or not?
$10 million.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bell. Thank you, Mr. Lynch. With that, this council, the meeting is adjourned at 7:09 p.m. The regular council meeting of February 11th, 2025. This council will primary please lead us in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Katrina.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Matt.
Here.
Mr. Smith. Here. Mr. Stanley.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 11th, 2025? For a second?
Second.
The clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Krania.
Yes.
Mr. Katrina.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Stanley.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes, the motion is carried, the agenda is approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the regular council meeting of January 14th, 2024?
Deli?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt? Yes. Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes, the motion is carried, the minutes are approved. The next scheduled council as a whole committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 25th, 2024, at 7 p.m. with a regular council meeting, immediately following the adjournment of the council as a whole committee meeting. With that, we'll move on to committee reports. Do you have any?
We did,
Yeah, we did have a board for one meeting, basically, we're all the election officers, so, Aaron Morton, the chairperson before, Marlo Sandell, the vice chair, for secretary, for the treasurer, and then Tim Kirby, the election manager. They went through the budget and
I have a question. Is Mr. Carl still on the board, or is he? Okay, I wasn't sure. Thank you. Anyone else?
So we had a,
I'm sorry. We'll move on. Thank you, Michelle. We'll move on to, ECDC.
so we did have a, ECDC meeting, we are doing our planning for the year. So we're super excited, we have our East Plan Walk coming up on Saturday, May 17th. We go from there to do the yards of the year in June and July, where we already have times, and each board, as well as the business, will be chosen. After that, we go into our lantern, which is an opportunity for each businesses to be recognized for their holiday spirit. And then the final thing is, Councilwoman, Kaselnik is kind of heading up our, good neighborhood. So we're gonna be having more of those and being able to recognize people who are doing a great job. So, we have a great committee, everyone shows up, and, anyone is welcome to join us. And, that's it. And I did meet with the mayor and Judy to go over all of this as well.
Any questions for Councilman Schmidt? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Schmidt. All right. We'll move on to recognition of public. Is there anyone who wishes to address council at this time? Do we have no one sign up to speak? Okay. We'll move on to legislation proposal. The clerk, please read legislation number 02-11-0.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept a senior levy grant from the Lake County Commissioners for a total of $143,000 and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate reading and reading control?
So moved.
Is there a second? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Deli?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Katina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Is there a second? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Deli?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Katina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes, the motion is carried, the legislation is adopted. Will the clerk please read legislation number 02-11-02?
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit to Sal Alverson doing business as Blue Sound Brothers LLC, Convenience Food Mart, 34301 Vine Street, Eastlake, Ohio, 44095, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate reading and reading control? Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Semick?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Katsoumis?
Yes.
Mr. Deli?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Semick?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
No.
Mr. Katsoumis?
Yes.
Mr. Deli?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Stelman?
No.
Mr. Myers?
Yes. The motion is carried. It's five. The legislation is adopted. Will the clerk please read legislation number 02-11-03?
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of a conditional use permit for the sale of firearms to Daniel D. Sedova, agent for Ohio Precision Manufacturing Corporation, doing business as Intech Industries, located at 3588 Lakeland Boulevard, East Lake, Ohio, 44095, in the M3 district, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate readings and reading before?
So,
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Kraniak?
yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick? Mr. Myers?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick? Mr. Myers?
Yes, the motion carried, the legislation is adopted. Will the clerk please read legislation number 02-11-04?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an 18th amendment to the WPUC joint agreement with the city of Willoughby and declaring an emergency.
There are motions to suspend the rule requiring separate readings and reading before.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes, the motion is carried, the legislation is adopted. Will the clerk please read legislation number 02-11-05?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the city of Willoughby for implementing the payment procedure for the Willoughby East Lake WPCC Lakeshore Boulevard East Equalization Basin Project and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate readings and readings before?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick? Mr. Myers?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Katrina?
Yes.
Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Felnick? Mr. Myers?
Yes, the motion is carried, the legislation is adopted. We don't have any legislation pending, we have no unfinished business, we have no new business. We'll move on to administrative reports, first comes from our mayor and safety director, Jim Overseer.
I'd like to welcome our new service director to his first, council meeting. Welcome to board. Thank you. Finance director and I continue to work on the budget and side letter for the captain. But other than that, I have nothing to report.
Any questions for the mayor? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll move on to our fire chief, Ted Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just a couple of things. I think during that cold spell, we ended up, the county itself had a lot of fire activity, and we were exempt from that. We had some fires. And then more importantly, we're up on Route 2 a lot more. And I think that from a fire perspective, that it's not a very comfortable place for us to work. And I know that this message goes out to just our residents and goes out to, gets occupied by a lot of people, but, be vigilant, knowing the laws, understanding what's happening on the freeways. I mean, we're out there, police and fire later that so many vehicles just to keep people getting switched over and that kind of thing. So I always try to bring good messages to all of us and just remind everybody that if you see activity on the freeway specifically, make sure you get as far away from the dead as safe as possible so that everybody can work, on a freeway. For river update, we had National Weather Service out last week, met with them, they came out, they have a different perspective than the locals have on there, so they'll have more of an idea of some things. They worked with Louis Hills upstream, we've come up with a plan for what it's gonna take to flush a river, and I don't think that those conditions will exist on the river, at least for the next few months. So to add to that layer, having a conversation, working with them, they're gonna be very aggressive through this season, see what they're seeing out there. So they'll issue with the National Weather Service, on top of what we do with reverse 911, National Weather Service is gonna be aggressive putting out flood warnings, just so that people along the river a lot more. Again, we're blessed because anybody that lives around that river, most of those people actually understand, the fall season can be somewhat interesting. And I think it's going to be, I'm not saying it's gonna be a devastating fall, but we already have a jam up there. And also that's all refroze. So we'll keep an eye on it, sure, but I think that having the extra weather service and having them have that extra layer on top of what we do in our community is good. Just update, promotional exams have begun in fire department, meeting here in the next couple of months, so that process has begun, and it's going very smoothly, thank goodness. But I appreciate the Mayor and Caroline helping me getting that started, so I'll keep you up to date. I'm trying to work on getting the per date for the administration so they have it, but I'll get it as soon as I get it. So that's questions.
Any questions for Chief? Seeing none? I'm sorry, sorry.
So if you're doing a promotional exam, are you then also hiring because somebody's gonna step up?
Yeah, so what we'll have to do is, my opening creates the new fire chief, which creates the new battalion chief, which creates the lieutenant, which creates the new firefighter. So I'm working with civil service on that. We're trying to prioritize. The promotional exams usually take us a little bit longer to get things lined up. So the promotional exam, the right department is scheduled for, April 4th would be so they get those, everyone about 8 weeks to study. And then on the week of the 14th would be the next phase of that. So I think by the third week of April, we'll probably have a good idea. As far as like an entry level exam, they're very good about getting things lined up. We can put I think we have to post, civil service says we have to post 2 weeks before the civil service entries are going to happen. So we'll work on that too. And I've been working with Carol Ann to make sure that the budget requirements are being meet for that type of thing. But I definitely want to make sure that, I give the city a firmer date so that all of us plans are on the same page, so we're working on that.
Any other questions for Chief? Seeing none, thank you, Chief. Move on to our police chief, Michael Warren.
All right, Mr. President. Stay on the hiring topic. We recently made 2 additional offers to 2 candidates who are completing the police academy. One will be finishing up the Tri-C Academy this week, and the other one is in the Polaris Academy in May. And that leaves us 2 additional spots that we are still looking to fill within the next month or 2, and that will get us up to our budget amount. So things are progressing well there. We've been doing a lot recently trying to shore up our officer health and wellness programs and initiatives. Sergeant Pine recently spoke to the Willoughby Eagles, and they gave us a significant donation recently, which we have been able to pretty much complete all of our gym renovations and upgrades. They'll finish that project off. We are on the cusp of implementing a chaplaincy program. We have a reverend that is actually 2 reverend and a pastor who are helping us select the right people to kind of help us with that program. Develop the policy report. That will be a good addition for the officer health and wellness, and also looking at all of the benefits that actually the city's EAP program has to offer that we were unaware of. We're working with those partners to, so we're able to address issues specifically for police officers. So we're going to see those policies within the next month or 2 roll out and be a significant benefit for our community moving forward. Budget-wise, you guys are going to be seeing a lot come across in the next couple of months. And I've been working with Carol Ann as well. The Body One Hammer grant, the awards for that are going to be announced sometime next month in March. Recently found out there were over $10 million in requests, which is the highest they've ever had. But we still remain a high priority candidate because of the fact we have none. So I am expecting that we will get at least partial funding for that program. Total cost we were looking at was, I think, around $246,000, and I submitted about $280 for the grant. So hopefully by the end of March, I have an update on that for you guys, and everything else that comes along, I will fill you in on when we get there. And that, nothing else.
Any questions for the Chief? Seeing none, thank you, Chief. We'll move on to our chief official, Dave Ryan.
I just love all these guys. So much to say. So when the snow melted a week ago, the phones started ringing. So snow came back, the phones didn't ring. So, and I heard the Lake County captains now have a dog. Dog is their fat boy.
Dog boy? I don't know.
I don't know what you call it.
That dog, I don't know.
It was in the news, it looks like a black Labrador retriever. So that'd be interesting, fun for the kids. That's all I have.
Any questions, Mr. Lynn? Ms. Schmidt?
Can I, what's the culvert about? Like, is it yard complaints or?
Just people complain about things, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yards, neighbors,
okay.
they just, the weather changes and people come up.
Okay.
Usually it's a lot of the same calls every year.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, road has just been a big one. We get a lot of wreck calls. Can't do anything about that. We tell them to talk to the health department tells them to talk to us. There's not a whole lot we can do about the wreck.
Any other questions on Mr. Lynn? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Lynn. We'll move on to our service director, Robert Prince.
Thank you, Mr. President. Service department's been busy cold patching 9th Street, Lakeland Boulevard, when I'm at snowplow. The winter's obviously dragging on, more so than usual the past couple of years. Keeping up, we're doing our best. They have a little salt shortage right now, so we kind of cut back on some salting with some side streets or doing intersections, so it's stuff which is not being received that well with some regulars, but we're explaining things and seem to be understanding. We are working on getting some more salt so we can continue on as usual, picking back up as usual, the salting. We did take delivery of the new engine for the salt truck. We just started installing that yesterday, so that's ongoing. Get that in as soon as possible. Back on the road. There was an MDA on Route 91 which took out the bike path fence over between Glen and Stevens. That repair was either completed today or will be completed early or later this week. But I believe it was back in order today. That's about all I have to report for right now. If there's any questions.
Any questions for service director? Ms. Schmidt?
For the repair, did we get money from insurance for that?
They filed an insurance claim. It's going through the process.
And the salt shortage, is that just because of the winter we've had?
Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Burns. We'll move on to our city engineer, Brian Lelouch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Received a message that ODOT is going to be performing some bridge inspection next week on State Route 2 over East 337. So there's going to be some lane restrictions for short durations while they're performing the inspection, and there'll be some survey work, pavement coring. So they're trying to get all the work associated with that done next week while under each lane restriction. So don't expect it to be too cold or too long, but they did notify us that they'll be after doing that work. And I believe they've already reached out to the police department for assistance with traffic control, and I don't know if that's while they're on Route 2 or if they're down, when they're down below, working around Curtis and Lakeland and so, but I know that request was made, so we're working through all that.
Any questions for Mr. Lelouch?
Yes, Mr. Lynch, when was it going to be happening?
They're scheduled for next week, weather permitting.
Well, this will lead into obviously some type of, or may lead into some type of bridge repair or replacement in the future.
At some point in the future, most likely.
Thank you, Mr. Lelouch. We'll move on to our finance director, Caroline Schindel.
Thank you. Chief Warren mentioned the donation. You will be seeing that on the, agenda next meeting. It's just timing of things. And, we're working with the auditor, things like they never left, which they really didn't. And of course, the budget, you'll be seeing some information in about 2 weeks.
Any questions for Finance Director, Mr.
So we want to schedule a committee meeting to approve budgets?
I think she sent an email out requesting a meeting for the budget.
Yes, we want to schedule that now.
I sent an email to, I think she sent you one requesting. Okay. And I think you sent one out requesting.
I never was going to say, I think it may or may not.
Yeah, I think there was an email sent requesting the budget meeting at, I think 6 o'clock before the next council meeting.
That would be appropriate.
And when we get any more, we can go from there. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bill. All right, we'll move on to our law director, Ray Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report.
Any questions for Mr. Kleiner? Seeing none. Councilwoman Brown, I believe you have something.
Yeah, I had sent everyone an email, I think everybody pretty much has read it at this point. At the last council meeting, we discussed a moral claim, with Officer Stanley. And I think during that meeting, the perception was that the cost of the $4,000 was going to be something that the city would have to eat. Once I contacted EMA and Vicky talked to the grant administrator, and I read the actual grant itself, the city has multiple choices there. We didn't actually have to adopt a policy for retention situation, and the officer would have to pay it back. Most of the cities, including Menor and Willoughby, all waived that. They did adopt a policy, but they waived it when some of the officers did leave. It was a perception for, I think, most of us after talking with some of the council people that that was something that, and I think Councilman Gawley actually asked the question, so the city is going to be on the hook for $4,000. And we actually, in fact, would not be on the hook for any of that at all. It's something simply that we would say, we waive it, and we're not going to require him to pay this money back. If he pays the money back, and we uphold the policy, then we would have to turn that money over to him. But it certainly isn't required. And I just feel military and first responders, I just feel that's something, they went through a lot during COVID as well, and I think it's just something that we don't have to do. And I think that there was a precedent set with, Officer Hess leaving and not requiring to pay it back. And I think Officer Stan was actually proactive and actually contacted the city about it because he knew he had signed it. So I just feel it's something that we could simply waive. And I'd like us to be able to look at that, knowing what we know now. And I know Vicki Cox, you sent an email, Mr. Kleiner, Vicki, got clarification on that.
Yeah, Ms. Graniak did include me on that. I think I was included with that anyway. I don't remember. But I confirmed back with Vicki Cox. What I wanted to make sure was we were asking the perfect questions. And because we had already talked to them, my concern was, in a sense, the cat was out of the bag and he left, and that if she knew that extra data point, would they require us to pay it back, which she confirmed, even knowing that he had left. Her position is that we're not going to be obligated to pay it back. Whether you want to prove moral claim or not, it's still for us.
Yeah, it actually didn't even need to get to a moral claim situation. It didn't even follow on council that actually didn't be a participant in it. That the administration, simply since the administration adopted the policy, the administration simply could have waived it. But since it came to us, I feel like in order to make an informed decision, we had to have all of the information that I think we did. From Vicki Cox's perspective, and I believe she told you this, all she needs is an email from finance saying they waived it, and no harm, no foul, and we're releasing it. So I just feel like it's the right thing to do. Like an opportunity for us to be able to vote on that.
Mayor Machida.
Councilman Kraniak brings up the fact of military and first responders. From my own point of view, when I was in the reserves and got hired on East Lake Police Department, I had to resign the reserves. They made me pay back my somebody accepts some money knowing they have to be here for a certain term, and then they leave, and we go, oh, that's okay. Do we want to set that precedent?
Sure, and that's a very good point, and I think, also in contrast to that was the fact that one officer did leave, and nobody brought that to the attention, and then that person wasn't required to pay back. Regardless of the fact of whether or not she had someone stay or not, it was not something where we sent it to her and said, okay, you left in October, you need to now pay us $4,000.
We were going to go after her for that money.
There's one other, I mean, I know the Chief Warner is going through a process right now where he has some officers for whom they pay their, police academy training, so the significant cost there would be, I think, a lot more significant than we're talking about now.
I think it's a
You do
case
have, my point being, you do have the risk of somebody later on in the meeting having to pay for police academy and now they're going to point to this as a precedent. I just put that out there.
And I do that point too. I still think with money that was brought in from COVID and EMA for this, I think it's something that is a waivable thing. All the cities are doing it without setting a major precedent. I think it's a case by case basis thing. You can make any argument for saying this is a decision here that we made, but you didn't make it here. I mean, you do that with everything, buildings to ordinance to whatever.
This grant was achieved by people who didn't receive the grant. It was administered by people who didn't get the grant. But it was done so that the police department would have the officers and they would stay. And that's for the residents. You did that so that you would have staffing in the police department and the residents would feel safe. So now you have a guy that leaves and you're choosing to pay or let him off the hook instead of worrying about the residents who have not been fully staffed this year. And that's one of the positions that was left open. Whereas the other person who left came back and it was only open for a short little window. Could have been considered a long vacation. The city is not at risk for the money and won't gain from that money. But the purpose was to help the residents and help the police department. And that didn't happen.
To this grant, another point though, if the mayor's position at this point is he's not going to waive it, your only choice would then be a moral claim, legislation, and if there's a veto and all that. I think her point was is before we draft the legislation, I don't speak here, but before we draft the legislation, I think you can try to get some feedback on what we should draft it and put it forward.
Right, yeah, and my only point was that I don't think that we had enough information when we voted.
That's probably something that should have been brought up before. You have to put notified that you felt there wasn't enough information, so it could have been helped.
Well, and to your point, when we're in council and we're discussing something and something is brought up by finance that makes the light bulb go on and you draw these things, and not only that, and I made this point before, when we get an agenda on Thursday, that leaves me 2 days, business days, to get hold of somebody in the state, which was not possible. I literally got information back from her a week later. So there are times where we're really running out. I think where we're sitting here and I hear something brought up, and really what triggered it was Mr. Gawley's question or his assessment that, so the city is on the hook. Yes, the city would be on the hook for the $4,000, and that didn't make sense to me because they had already run grants. So I couldn't make the right decision, I don't feel, and I think there's some people that feel the same way. I just would like an opportunity to put it back on. I think Mr. Cleary said we needed to do by putting a different legislation
Yeah,
number.
because we voted it down, I wouldn't, there's no immediate way of reconsidering that without keeping track of the legislation numbers. So I would do the legislation if you guys want to put that forward.
Some companies.
And again, you have the option of doing it all or not, or finding another compromise if everybody's struggling with some of those.
I'd like to touch on what the mayor said about the connection to the military. And this gentleman was a police officer, and I assume he signed the agreement stating that he did. Is that correct? So, as a police officer and a public servant, I would like to think that he would honor his commitment.
Right.
Okay, and I think it just comes to me a little bit that he is going to reach out to the after Wolf, I'm not going to honor this commitment. I want you with money, I'd like to think you would have sensitivity and honor that commitment. My understanding is that he's not a Lake County resident, correct?
He's a Lake County
But
resident.
he's not a city resident, correct?
He's in Monroe.
Not on the lake. But he's left, he's gone to a department outside of the county.
Right.
And he's going to join the department. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's very highly compensated in the department he is on. He's certainly capable of repaying the compensation. So, I mean,
I think that's a really unfair statement. I don't think it's appropriate to look and say, well, because you fired yourself at a time when, you know, you had the ability to make more money and do what was right for your family, you moved on, and we're gonna look at you and go, well, I believe you're being very well compensated.
I think that's the right way. I really want you to be better compensated. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, like I said, I just feel that he signed the agreement. He made an obligation. He signed the agreement, made an obligation. I'd like to see him honor his obligation, especially as public servant.
And you know, it's interesting to me as well, because as council, once again, we didn't even need to make that determination. And he contacted the city, correct?
No,
So he didn't contact the city.
no, we reached out to him and said you have to pay a bill.
And when did you do that? Oh, I got that in the meeting, that's fine.
You were looking at me, I don't remember how I heard about it.
I know we had that conversation. When did he resign, chief? Was it in August? Right, he was supposed to have been, Lauren has left in October.
And came back.
And came back when she decided to leave Kirkland and come back here.
She was back before December 1st. I know we paid her December 1st.
And I understand the commitment thing, and I understand what you're talking about with friends and military, I understand that you do that. I think for me, the understanding that EMA was not requiring a policy to ever be written, it's not something that we even needed to do. There are retention reports that finance is required to give EMA on this, and part of that is just that they can track, from what I understand from Vicki, it's just a tracking of, hey, did this grant work out in keeping people? Out of 22 people, how many left? Did it leave? Is that grant enough to retain those employees? I think one employee that left for his own betterment or whatever is fine. I don't think that you should look at that and go, well, we signed that and he's required to pay it back. This was federal money that was received. We didn't have to adopt the policy to begin with. It's no skin off our back to waive that, and I just feel that after what he was here for 7 years, was it? Or how long was he here? 6 years. I feel like that he was a good officer, and I just will say, given the information that we have now, I would like council to have an opportunity to make a decision on that. And if we vote the same way, I get it, I just feel that it's an important thing to do.
So another cautionary thing, and, I'm not sure I understand all of the ins and outs on this one, but we do have some of our contractual stuff we have with the union that says, if we hire somebody, and within that 1 year period of time, if they leave, then they do have to reimburse us. The one thing I wouldn't want to do is to take that advantage away from the city by changing something. And again, I don't know if I know the ins and outs of what you're talking about with PD. In my contract that I have with the union, if I hire somebody and I buy them gear, or I send them to school, whatever we do, and they leave before their probation's up, then they do owe the city some of that reimbursement. So, and I would want to pursue that. Now, in that contract, I do believe it does offer the ability to present a hardship. So let's say we hire somebody that ends up getting sick, or a family member gets sick, and they have to leave under those pretenses, then I think I could bring that to the mayor and say, hey, listen, I believe under these circumstances. So I think that there's some flexibility in that. I would hate to see us, have a blanket thing where we take away some of that armament we have, that's written in the contract. Because if one of my personnel leaves before that year, they can say, well, why do I have to pay that?
Sure, and I think that's a great statement. I think what you're saying is absolutely correct, because the city would be on the hook for that cost. We are not.
Yeah, but I think there was an agreement made, right? Yeah, that they said.
There's a policy, yes.
Yeah, so I think that has to be, again, as the administrator of a department, if somebody I hire is gonna guarantee me something, and I'm gonna give that back to them by giving them an opportunity to work in the fire department, I would like to think that we both have an obligation at that point. If I don't live up to my obligation, then I'm not living up to that, right? Whether it's in front of you or in front of the mayor. So I'm just saying that, again, I don't have a dog in this fight, I most certainly probably don't know all the ins and outs. I would just hate to make sure that when you're thinking about this, you know, the power that we do have at this point, the legitimate stuff that we have, I would just hate that to be convoluted or clouded up a little bit. That's just my opinion. But, you know, I do think that nowadays, the way that the fire and police service work, guys can pick and choose, and ladies can pick and choose where they want to work. And it's a very difficult thing as a city administrator, a department administrator, if I hire somebody and somebody else gets dinged in front of them and they leave. So I still think that there needs to be the ability for this community, this city, to be able to say, okay, you have the right to do that. However, here's some of the provisions. And if somebody signed an agreement to say, listen, I'm coming on, you're going to pay for me to be part of this organization. I'm not sure if I'm speaking out of turn, please correct me. But I think if somebody signed a piece of paper and said they're going to do that, I think most certainly we need to hold them up to that. Now, again, there's ways that you can work around this so that someone's not obligated. Again, I'm okay with that. But I would just say, I would hate for my abilities to administer change because of something that we decided to do on this again.
I think maybe with your argument too, maybe that's something the law director would need to look at and address as to whether doing something that like this weakens our position in the future.
And there is a concern like I was saying, they had with, when I was fire department, but we might have one coming up with the chief, so we gotta be mindful of that. The difference between the contract is, as the chief Williams described it, if it is built into the contract, I don't have it in front of me, then we can handle that administratively, because this is in a sense a contract that's so signed in exchange for staying on.
But the probationary firefighter doesn't get union protection until they get probation. So that even though the contract addresses it, they really don't have union protection at that point. So it does fall back on us as administrators to say, hey, listen, we want to do that. I can tell you, we've done hardship before. In my career, we've had people that had to leave under circumstances. I don't want to go to the fire department XYZ because I get paid more. Hey, listen, I can't no longer do this job because I'm sick. I found I had cancer, kind of thing. So that at that point, I think that's where the common sense approach is to say, well, then, you're leaving, you don't want to leave, right? And maybe there's a little bit of, sour grapes in me to say that, my department's not good for you to stay, and you're going to leave because you think the grass is greener. Then I would be coming in front of you saying, enforce that, because, the competitive nature of me, that, my organization is the best fire department in the county, and for you to say you want to leave, I'd probably even take more offense to, the ones that enforce that kind of stuff. So again, that's a personal thing, you can't enforce that. I'm just telling you, how I feel about that kind of thing. I'd probably be a little bit offended,
We have similar concepts in the ordinance in terms of you want to go for schooling and you want to be better in whatever department you're in. You have to stick around for a couple of years. You agree to that or you got to pay it back. So we have quite a few places where employees are obligated to perform their half of the agreement or we come after them for the fine.
I almost wonder, like, if you talked to him, he understood that if I signed up to leave here, he knew he was under an obligation by something he signed. So if I'm sitting in front of you saying I'm signing this paper because, and here's what I'm guaranteeing I'm going to do as a police officer or firefighter, and then when that changes, now to come back and say that I don't want to, obligate that from you. I think that's a tough one for me to swallow as an administrator. I think that, I probably have some pushback on that. Because I think we do have a common sense approach here. I think that this community, this administration, if we had somebody that legitimately had to leave here, we would, in that case, but if we give the grant money, or, the grant money, part of the grant money is to say, we're adding staffing. So again, I don't know. I'm not trying to get in the fight, but I just think that I'm concerned about, this, what would happen down the road a little bit. I think that these are pretty thoughtful, whatever approach may be, but it's hopefully very thoughtful and make sure that, we're not opening up some kind of can. Because guarantee you, all the decisions get made here, there's somebody out there that's going to be waiting to prey on that kind of thing.
So I agree with your integrity, signed, a contract, 100% on that. And, the thing that really gets me is when we're Officer Lab, who's got the same agreement. Now, she chose to come back, but that was her intent. Her intent was to leave and stay with her. So, that's where I get stuck here, is how is it okay for you to make, now, I do not want a permit application, that's a permit, I don't want anyone to, I think you should hold your word. I get stuck is that how am I to say, you have to pay, but you, because you came back, don't have to pay. I don't, like that, it bothersome to me, but I think you have to pay. You signed an agreement, period. And so I was
well, maybe you have to leave her in a discussion.
How do you say, like, especially to the officer?
Yeah, maybe you have to include her in the conversation.
And I think all the points that you're explaining to me, I'm sorry.
No, and like I said, I'm pretty much on board that you got to pay. I'm getting stuck. Is that a problem? It's really just like,
This is the curse of being completely opposite. I don't know where you're looking. So you're asking me for a response.
So I look like I scratch my eye too. So if I'm looking at anyone close to me, it's my eye.
If the question was for me, candidly, I don't think that you would do it at all.
Okay.
Person left and they came back. To me, that's entirely different. The collection process alone would have taken more than a month. So for me, that's not a big deal. I also like to think, I guess I should never speak for any mayor, but I know the mayor to be a pretty reasonable guy. As Roland stands, I don't really know either. Come forward and say, I just need a payment plan, I need to do this. I would imagine there's some compromise there, though, if there is a hardship, and it's easier on them. I think all of that's realistic, and you would have the benefit then of enforcement. You would then have the benefit of precedent. It sounds to me like that conversation never happened and kind of came breaking the morals claim. I would encourage him to have that conversation with the mayor.
Yeah, and I'm hearing all of that, and I agree and disagree in some respects, but, I think case by case basis is what we do everything on. Whether we're approving CUP, whether we're not, whether you're setting precedents, you approve one CUP over another CUP. We're always gonna have that conversation.
Well, there's no resident that can say you guys have spent a lot of time talking about it.
That's right.
So they should be proud that you're continuing.
And I'll say one more thing. I think CUP is a lot different than a personnel act, to be honest with you. I know from your perspective,
And from a hardship matter, and I think
yeah.
when you're going to school and you don't do it, you have to pay back because it is a detriment to the city financially. This is not a detriment to the city financially in any way, shape, or form.
And I think what goes on, maybe that has been discussed too, and I don't know the processes that the officer went through, but there's money that's incurred by the community, the process of vet officers and firefighters to bring them in. So if the money was given to us by a grant, I gotta imagine there's somewhere down the line, whether it's a polygraph or a fit assessment or a psych exam, the city did pay for something to vet those guys. So I think that, just to see across the board that the city didn't have, no money was spent on the guy. I think that there's, that pre-work that gets done a little bit. There's an investment on our behalf to bring these people on. And those are quite expensive. To vet people, and I have a DEA license, drug license. I carry narcotics in my ambulances. So our vetting process has to be very, very, it has to be intense because then if, we end up with missing drugs on that spot, the first thing they're going to come to my office is they want us to be vet. Now, I know we've done the department for 7 years, but the city did invest in this officer to some level. That's just another part for me. Whereas the CUP, we require to the building department, the requirements, Dave brings the CUP youth, he's acknowledging that business owner brought I think, again, I'm not trying to downplay it, I just think that, personnel matters, and what we want our employees to follow the rules we want them to follow, and our investment in them, and their investment in us. I would hate for us to kind of water that down. I think that's just for me. If I was going to stand out, I just want to make sure that's properly.
Chief Warner, do you have any thoughts on it? I heard from fire, I heard from police.
argument for the city not being accountable for that $4,000. I know, Mr. Stanley had made the argument that even though the grant award was $4,000, by the time taxes and everything were taken out, he only received, say, $1,900, whatever the amount was. So he felt it was unfair to have to pay back an amount that he didn't receive. And I know there's other math that goes into those calculations. From my perspective, as far as the personnel goes, we've been down 4 budgeted positions for 3 years. We've been hiring the same 2 positions for 3 years. We've had that much turnover. He was the first officer we've had in many years that left beyond that 5-year mark. I've had many conversations with many officers over the years, and I cannot begrudge any one of them who makes a decision that is based on job satisfaction or quality of life. For him, it was quality of life, otherwise he wouldn't still be a police officer. He moved on to a department that, he felt was a better fit for him with his future. So I can't begrudge that. Anyway, so that's your guys' decision. But those are just some of my thoughts. I know when we are looking at the possibility of paying for somebody's police academy and trying to retain them for a number of years afterwards, which is something I have brought up, because a lot of departments do have those contracts, and as part of the union, and those contracts. So there is a little bit of a difference, in my opinion, but it is something I am going to be seeking. I thought we should have been doing in the past years when we are investing in the academy, and that person makes a conscious decision to leave. If we pay for their academy and it just doesn't work out, that's on us, in my opinion. But whether or not it sets a precedent, I think there is a difference between the employment provisions when you're coming on and making those agreements. And I don't even remember when the payout was for the $4,000. That might have been in early 2023.
It was November.
November 23. Okay. So it's almost a year later. Until that was sent out, I don't know that anybody would have remembered that we signed the agreement. But leave it on you guys. Do you have any specific questions, anything else for me? I'd be happy to try to answer.
This round is the number 1 we code, right? We code it just ahead.
It's up to you, that's the only thing I'll caution.